Today, we're diving deep into this invisible force, this thing that shapes almost half of your entire day, and most of the time, you don't even realize it's happening. We're talking about your habits. So just picture this for a second. The alarm goes off, you wake up, but before your brain has even fully booted up for the day, what happens? Your hand has already found your phone. It's like it has a mind of its own. It's just a silent program running in the background. And then what? You open the same apps, you check the same notifications, you scroll through the same exact feed. You didn't consciously plan to do any of this. Your brain just ran the script. And here's the crazy part. Studies show that almost half of everything you do today is going to happen just like that. Not by choice, but by habit. So that begs the question, right? Why? Why is our brain so obsessed with running on autopilot? What is really going on in there? Well, it all comes down to a really fundamental idea about how your brain manages its energy. And the reason, well, it might not be what you think. Think about this. Your brain is only about 2% of your body's total weight. Pretty small, right? But it is an energy hog. It gobbles up a massive 20% of your daily energy. It's this incredibly powerful piece of hardware, but man, it is expensive to operate. So, to survive, to be efficient, your brain is always looking for ways to save energy. And habits are its ultimate life hack. When you do something over and over again, your brain basically goes, okay, got it. I've seen this enough. Let's just automate it to save some fuel. It's actually a brilliant survival strategy. Okay, so how does the brain actually build these little automatic programs? Well, it turns out every single habit follows a really simple, predictable pattern. Scientists have a name for it. They call it the habit loop. And it's basically the neurological blueprint that every habit you have, whether it's brushing your teeth or checking your email, is built on. This loop has three parts. First up, you've got the cue. That's the trigger that tells your brain to get started. Then comes the routine, which is the actual behavior itself. And finally, and honestly this is the most important part, is the reward. That's the payoff that tells your brain, hey, let's do that again. The cue is just the spark that starts the engine. And it can be anything. Just waking up in the morning can be a cue. The ding of a notification on your phone is a huge one. Even a feeling, like being stressed, or a smell, like brewing coffee, can kickstart a whole habit loop. So after you do the routine, you get that reward. And that's when your brain releases a feel-good chemical. You've probably heard of it. It's called dopamine. Now here's the magic trick. That little dopamine hit is a signal. It tells your brain, hey, that felt good. Let's remember exactly what we just did and do it again next time we see that cue. And that is what cements the habit. So once that connection between the cue and the reward gets strong enough, the whole thing just becomes automatic, which, when you think about it, leads to a kind of unsettling realization about who or what is really in control. Because it means your day-to-day life isn't always controlled by your big goals or your motivation. No. More often than not, it's actually controlled by these deep, automated patterns that you're not even aware of. And here is the major catch with this whole super efficient system. Your brain, it doesn't really care if a habit is good for you or bad for you. It just cares that the loop works. And this is the problem. Bad habits, like scrolling social media or eating junk food, they give you an instant reward, a quick, easy hit of dopamine. But good habits, like exercising or learning something new, their rewards are often delayed. Your brain, because it's wired for efficiency and that immediate feedback, it's always going to prefer the now over the later. So if we can't just use willpower to fight this, what do we do? How do we actually change? Well, the key isn't to fight your brain's programming. The key is to work with it. Let's look at a simple 3-step plan. Okay, first, change the cue. If your phone on the nightstand is what triggers you to scroll first thing, move the phone. Replace it with a book. Simple. Second, make the new habit you want to build ridiculously, almost laughably easy. Don't say, I'm going to work out for an hour. Just start with, I'm going to do 2 push-ups. The goal isn't intensity, it's consistency. That's what builds the loop. And third, and this is so important, consciously reward the new habit. Celebrate that tiny win. Give your brain the dopamine it's looking for. That's how you reinforce the new, better pattern. So, what's the big picture here? What does all this really mean for us? It all boils down to one simple but incredibly powerful truth. Your life, right here, right now, it isn't really the product of your big intentions or your dreams. It is basically just the sum total of your daily, repeated, automated habits. These tiny, automatic actions, they're the building blocks. They're what construct the biggest parts of your life. They determine your health, your productivity, and yeah, ultimately, your success. They are the invisible architecture of who you are. So the real question isn't whether or not you have habits, because we all do. The real question I want to leave you with is this. Are your daily automatic habits, your autopilot, actively building the life you actually want? Or are they quietly, in the background, building something entirely